Hello, I'm John Heaton. I'm going to do part two of my top 30 George Harrison solo tracks. Having done 16 to 30 in the previous video, going to cover 15 to 1 in this video. And again, just to reiterate, just my personal favorites as they happen to be this week. Could easily change at any time and doesn't necessarily have to agree with yours. Doesn't mean this is necessarily what I think are the best songs, just the ones which strike a chord with me, okay? So we're going to start off at 15 and we'll go to the Summer in England album. And a big favourite of mine is the ballad, The Writings on the Wall. I just love the words, I love the philosophy, I love the mood of the song and the way George is kind of laid back in his singing style, the instrumentation, and some very sad words about all his friends getting drunk away, or shot away is one of the lyrics as well, but it was written before John was taken from us, so I think it probably a reference to Mal Evans getting shot, who was shot in January of '76. Another good friend of George's died by the gun. So a very moving song, I love it. Number 14, we're going to go to Material World, and another big favourite of mine, The Light That Has Lighted the World. I was just looking up to see whether lighted is proper English, and actually it is. It's one of the few verbs in English language where the past tense can be two variations, either lit or lighted. And I guess George chose lighted because the light that has lit the world would have sounded rubbish, so that was fine. And it's a beautiful tune, beautiful guitar, and very uplifting words. Some people find the words preachy on this song, but I think it's really heartfelt, and if anything, a lot of these words are aimed at himself and his struggle to reach spiritual bliss or whatever, and he didn't always succeed, as we know. So I know he didn't always practice what he preached, but he was genuinely striving for it, particularly on this album, and I think it's very moving. Number 13, we're going to go to the Cloud 9 album, and That's What It Takes, the beautiful song on side 1, which is co-written with Jeff Lynne, I believe. I think it's co-written with him. And does it say? I'll just check on the sleeve. Pretty sure it's a co-written number. Yeah, it is. And Gary Wright also had a hand in. Yeah, I was reading the I'm in Mind book actually the other day, and Gary Wright had these funny chords. I'm not sure if that's the middle bit. And they just stuck, and Jeff Lynne had this chorus, I think, and George presumably had the verse, and they just stuck it together. So it's basically 3 songs in one, but it works really well, and great backing vocals from Jeff Lynne, very ELO-ish, but in a good way, and one of my favourites on the whole album of Cloud 9. Number 12, we're going to go to All Things Must Pass, and the last track on side 1, Isn't It a Pity? Just a glorious tune, another glorious sentiment. One of the few tunes where he's not singing about religion as such here, he's singing about lamenting the fact that humans can't get on with each other, and maybe he's talking about the Beatles themselves having arguments and not loving each other as much as they might have done, and falling out and having squabbles. But it's just a great uplifting song, and just great musicianship, great production, wall of sound, works really well. My only slight criticism would be, and if it wasn't for this it would be higher in the list, higher on my list, is that it probably goes on a little bit too long at the end. But that's minor criticism. Number 11, we're going to go to the self-titled album from '79 and the opener, Love Comes to Everyone. Just a gorgeous lyric and very optimistic, and George was not always optimistic in his solo career, but he is on this one, and just lovely musicianship. Andy Newmark and Willie Weeks, superb rhythm section. Steve Winwood playing lovely synthesizer, little guitar cameo from Eric Clapton in the first line of the song. Otherwise it's George on guitar duties here and playing really good stuff. Number 10, we're going to go back to All Things Must Pass again with Behind That Locked Door, which was a song I think he wrote about Bob Dylan because he just spent some time with him, and he was kind of living a bit of the life of the recluse, and he's saying, bring out your heart, please, please, from behind that locked door. So it was a very moving lyric and sort of country tune and gorgeous arrangement. Not so much wall of sound on this song, just lovely, really tasteful arrangement. Love it to bits. Number 9, we're going to go with the single, My Sweet Lord. Just an absolute tour de force from the All Things Past album, and deserved number 1 single. I know he got sued for plagiarism. Well, maybe he should have given us a songwriting credit to whoever wrote He's So Fine, and it wouldn't have taken away from the fact that this is a much better record than He's So Fine in terms of sentiment and being a lot more moving and more spiritual. And okay, so the tune is a bit nicked from He's So Fine, but the message of the song is altogether more uplifting, and George said it was more inspired by a happy day in terms of feel. But anyway, it's high on my list because it's just gorgeous, and it's just, you know, I'm not a particularly religious fellow, but when I listen to this, it's about as close as I get to being spiritual, and just love the fact that he sings Hallelujah and then goes into Hare Krishna and tries to bring everyone subtly singing about God without them realizing. And I think he was a bit worried about bringing out this song because he was wondering how it would get, how people would react, and it's about God, we're not going to buy it. But he was wrong to be worried, because it just people were just blown away by it, and it just hit every chart, number 1 in every chart in the world, more or less. Number 8, we're going to go back to the self-titled and choose the first track on side 2, which is Faster, which is a song about the motor racing Formula 1 circuit. So it doesn't sound like an inspired choice for a song, but the way George sings the words, he makes them he makes them altogether more generic than just about Formula 1. So someone hoped to see him fail, filling their hearts with jealousy's crazy, people with love so frail. A really moving lyric, and just great musicianship, and another really uplifting song. This self-titled album is probably the most uplifting of George's whole career in terms of optimism and just sunshine, although it was released in February, ironically. I always saw it as a summer album. Number, what are we up to? Number 7. Now we're going to go back to Material World, and the final track, That Is All. Just beautiful. Piano, I think, from Gary Wright here, or Nicky Hopkins. Beautiful tune. A beautiful middle 8, times I find it hard to say with useless words getting in my way. Silence often says much more than trying to say what's been said before. Brilliant. Could be a love song about a lover or God. Either way, it works. I just think it's beautiful. And doesn't often get talked about in the same way that the tracks from All Things Past does. Number 6, we're going to go back to self-titled and the beautiful ballad on side 2, Your Love Is Forever. I know we discussed this, Matt Williamson, the other day. It's one of your favourites. Just gorgeous tune, gorgeous words, and just superb guitar solo in the middle. Just absolute perfection of a song, and probably his strongest ballad of his whole solo career, bar a couple which might appear higher on my list. Number 5, we're going to go back to All Things Must Pass, and the last song on side 2, it's Run of the Mill, and just some great words in here, probably aimed at McCartney, one never knows, but not so specific that you'd know it. So you can apply it to any person who you know, who you think this might apply to. Everyone has choice when to and not to raise their voice. It's you that decides. Only you arrive at your own made end, with only but yourself to be offended. It's you that decides. It's not so judgmental. It's more of a kind of sort of sad, reflective lyric on, well, you got me wondering how I lost your friendship, but I see it in your eyes. So it may be about McCartney. I don't know if it is. It's pretty moving, and it's, as I say, not that judgmental. It's quite affectionate in a way. Number 4, sticking with the same album, we're going to go with the title track, All Things Must Pass. Just an absolute masterpiece. And I know this was Mike Scott from the Waterboys' favourite track of all time. So he told my friend Sean Boddy, who worked in Helter Skelter bookshop, when Mike Scott came in one day, they had a chat, and he told him that. It's a pity that the Beatles didn't make a better fist of this, and they were playing it slightly too fast, and they were a little bit dismissive, all of them really, George included, didn't take it that seriously. But I don't know what it was about the All Things Must Pass session, but it really is taken to another level. I think they were right to slow it down a bit, have this majestic arrangement with the wall of sound. It works really well, and with some nice, maybe some steel guitar from Pete Drake or something going on to add to the atmosphere. Just all in all, a wonderful production on the album. Number 3, All Things Must Pass again, and it's the track which leads off side 3, Beware of Darkness. Take care, beware of soft shoe shufflers, just brilliant words, and greedy leaders take you where you should not go. While weeping Atlas cedars, they just want to grow. That's a reference to the trees in Ascot, where John's new home was, where the Beatles had visited shortly before this song was written. So that was a reference to that, and beware of Maya, which means ego, basically. Beware of sadness. It can hit you, it can hurt you, make you sore, and what is more, that is not what we are here for. Just brilliant words, absolutely brilliant. Real big favourite of mine, and a glorious guitar solo. Number 2, going to go back to self-titled. This is the lead-off single, Blow Away. And again, I was speaking to Matt Williamson about this, Pop Goes the 60s, and we couldn't believe that it wasn't a number 1 single. I think it did crack the top 20 in the US, but it only got to 51 in the UK, unbelievably. It's just got hit single written all over it, and it's just, George was a bit embarrassed. He thought it was a bit too catchy, and he was a bit embarrassed to record it, but I think everyone who in the studio, Russ Titelman, the producer, presumably gave him encouragement, said this is a hit song, this is a good one, put it on the album. And I don't care if it wasn't a hit, it's still my number 2 on the list, and it's just a gorgeous track, and very, very uplifting lyrics about, it may be raining at the moment, but the clouds are going to part and the sun's going to come out. A bit similar to All Things Must Pass in that way, in terms of the lyrical sentiment. Number 1, can you guess? It's going to be the lead-off track from Material World, Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth. Just a glorious single, number 1 in America, number 1 in the UK, I think, or number 2, and just lovely guitar solos. I think even McCartney was very complimentary about this. They were just about making peace at the time when this came out, and said nice, I think he said nice chord changes, which indeed they are. They're just lovely chord changes, and lovely uplifting lyric, and absolutely brilliant guitar, and no hint of plagiarism or anything. This was George's, well, I think it's his very best composition post-Beatles. That's why it's number 1 in my list. So this was my final top 30, if you can see it. Sorry if the writing is a bit small there. So don't expect you to agree, but I had fun doing this, and I hope you had fun watching it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.